So, if you're anything like me, you probably know someone who says one thing but does another. Doesn't that frustrate you? How did Jesus deal with that kind of hypocrisy? Jesus said, don't be two-faced. Good morning and welcome to the 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about an easy-to-remember, soundbite version of what Jesus said. The point is to help you experience life to the fullest the Jesus way. Today's Jesus said comes from Matthew chapter 23, verses 19 through 26. So starting in 23, it says, "What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are careful to tithe even the tiniest income from your herb gardens, but you ignore the more important aspects of the law, justice, mercy, and faith. You should tithe, yes, but do not neglect the more important things. Blind guides, you strain your water so you won't accidentally swallow a gnat, but you swallow a camel. What sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are careful to clean the outside of your cup and the dish, but inside you are filthy, full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee, first wash the inside of the cup and the dish, and then the outside will become clean too." So, Jesus is telling them how it is. He's telling them, you're following all these rules, you're doing all these things, but you're missing the point. He's saying, like, you're following the bigger rules, like tithing, you're following the bigger rules, like cleaning and all these different things, but then you're missing everything else. I think it's interesting that he makes that word picture of you filter your water so you don't get a fly, but then a camel gets passed by. Like, you miss the camel, but you swallow the camel, and it's just like, wow, Jesus is just really letting them know about themselves. He's saying, hey, you do all these things that are great, and you're following these rules, but you're missing the point. And I think that's just a great example of how we can do all the right things and still be wrong if we're missing the point of what Jesus wants us to understand. He wants us to love people and to change on the inside. He wants us to allow the Holy Spirit to change us on the inside. So you got to ask yourself the question, are you an expert in the law like these Pharisees were, where they're following all the rules, they're doing everything that needs to be done? Or are you an expert in the rules of love? Jesus was literally saying, it doesn't matter what the outside looks like if the inside is a mess. It doesn't matter how many rules you keep if your heart isn't right. The religious leaders Jesus was talking about, they were experts at the law. They followed every rule. They did everything. But they weren't going above and beyond in the things that matter the most, the issues of the heart. He says you ignore the more important things of the law, justice, mercy, and faith. Jesus used harsh words for these hypocrites. Blind guides, child of hell, whitewashed tombs. And it's funny because who do you call names? Who do we call names usually? The funny thing is Jesus never called sinners or people who maybe would fit those names, bad names. He called the people who were supposed to be the most like prestigious Christians or, believers of God at the time. He called them hypocrites. Why? Because they were so focused on how good they were at keeping the rules that they missed the heart of the rules. The heart of the rules were justice, mercy, and faith. Jesus said, don't be two-faced. Don't wear a mask and point fingers at everyone else. Deal with your own heart. You can keep all the rules and, be good, or you can keep all the rules and miss it. The difference is the attitude. You can't hide self-indulgence, pride, greed, and envy with this mask or this covering of good deeds or following the rules. What's underneath will always spill out. In Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23, it says, "But the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against these things." So what's underneath your mask? Who are you when no one's looking? What's underneath that covering that I think inadvertently we all put on when we want to put on our best face, we want to look our Sunday best? What's underneath that mask? Don't be two-faced. How can you put that into action today? How can you change something that maybe you're following the rule, but you're not actually changing your heart? You're not allowing the Holy Spirit to do the work that He's trying to do in your heart. What needs to change? What do you look like underneath that mask? And when you really think about it, does that need to change? Even though maybe you're following those rules. So thank you so much for listening. It is so meaningful to us. If you really like this, you're enjoying it. If you would like, share, comment, we love to do this for you. It's awesome. I hope you have an amazing day. I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest the Jesus way. And remember to follow Jesus today. And we end everything by saying, love first. Thank you, guys.